So, I am bringing up a topic today that I think a lot of you will really relate to. A friend of mine was talking about how her son is living at home this summer and has an internship, which is great, but she struggles with watching him just have bad habits, like coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning when she knows he has to be at work at 8. And she was just talking about how you're supposed to deal with that. Do you just say nothing? Or do you have a say, since you are paying for the roof over his head and the food that he's eating? And we just talked about the difference between our worries and how they're actually handling themselves. So she was worried that she said she didn't sleep last night because she was worried that he wasn't going to wake up in time to go to work. And her friend had helped get this internship. And she was feeling, like her son needed to be really good at this internship because someone had gone out on a limb for him. And so we talked about that. And I said, you can say how you feel, and you can give your 2 cents, but the fact that you didn't sleep is on you. So she was like, well, she couldn't quite, separate the two. So we talked about how separating the two, your worries are one thing, that's on you, and then your advice to them when they are still under your roof and they're using your car and you're paying for everything, is totally okay. You can give them your 2 cents, and you don't need to get mad, but you can give them your 2 cents, and you can give them, your feelings, tell them your feelings about them, not really having great habits and how hard it is for you to watch. So it's really important to define what the problem is that you are struggling with your young adult. She was upset because she was tired. She was upset because she didn't sleep. She was upset that he was showing signs of, bad habits of coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning, knowing he has to get up at the crack of dawn to go to work. And she was worried that he was going to be tired. And I said, okay, you're conflating a bunch of issues, and you've got to separate them and look at the fact that he did get up on his own. She didn't wake him up. He got to work on time. It was all good. She didn't have to not sleep. She could just choose not to worry. So these are issues that all of us are going through when we have our kids at home. And we have to really stay very clear on what the problem really is, define the problem really clearly, and don't get mad at their bad behaviors, because this is the time where you have to let go bit by bit, let them fall on their faces, because they're never going to learn if you're always getting mad at them. They're just going to be defensive, and they're going to focus on that rather than if you just let it go and they get in trouble at work. That's going to be their consequence. You don't need to be creating the consequences for them when they're young adults. If they're being rude to you, that's different, but he's not doing anything to her. So, and he got himself there on time, and he's 20 years old. So I think you've got to let your kids fall on their face without you giving them any grief, because they need to learn the hard way from people outside of you. And it's horrible to watch. It's just horrible to watch. And she was saying, I just don't want him living at my house because I don't want to watch it. And I get that. And that's her prerogative. But it's not real. He's going to be living there this summer, and he's going to be, having to learn, from his boss if he messes up. And so she needs to let go. a little bit. So I think we can all relate to her problems, and I hope that helps a little bit. Private message me if you have any questions.